Test, test, test. And I'm frozen. No sound and I'm frozen. Uh, let's see. Let me see here. Sound is back, but the my weird face is frozen on the stream. Let's see, maybe we can fix that here. Sorry for the delay. Uh, Let me see what we can do. Ba, ba, ba. It's just frozen on this picture. I don't know why. So we'll just can the video for today. Apologies for that. Let's just start over here. Um, it's a little late start because there was no sound for the first 5 minutes or so. It is July 15th. So it's a tough start to the week here with no sound at the beginning, and then the screen got frozen or my face got frozen. Whatever. We'll continue on. I was talking about what made headlines this past week or weekend, I should say. There was a lot of news, right? Everything, no matter what news channel, Twitter, everything was blowing up, right? Even here in Europe, I was turning on the game last night, right? The European finals, the Euro finals in Germany, and first things first, CNN pops up, and what do we have, right? Talking about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. That was the news from the weekend campaign rally in Pennsylvania. And we saw that a bullet grazed the ear of former President Trump and could have had very different results realistically. It's still making headlines. And this was amid a call for unity to bring the country together. The shooting also came before the Republicans' National Convention, which runs from Monday through Thursday. Kicks off in Milwaukee with many analysts weighing in on what these recent events could mean for investors and traders alike. The odds of Trump actually winning in November are seen to increase after following the attack, and some betting markets even show that the House swinging in the GOP's favor as well as the Senate. So Republicans, if they win, would likely result in extended tax cuts and hawkish trade policies like tariffs, heavier tariffs, and it could mean looser regulations for hot button topics such as climate change, cryptocurrency, right? Especially if this red wave, quote unquote, materializes. So in some of the assets, we've seen Bitcoin here climbed as much as 5% into 63,000 and a bit. Crypto-related stocks are running as well. We also saw that stock futures have rallied from Friday's interesting close. We saw that markets are up right now about 0.5% across the board with the S&P 500 futures, with the NASDAQ, with the Dow Jones, right? And we also have Trump Media and Technology, DJT, right? Let's look at that. Which is known for its meme qualities and can follow Trump-related developments, also soared 71%, right? It's down a bit from that point right now, but it's up about like 60 odd percent if I'm not mistaken, 50 odd percent. So it's about 52% right now. It's gapped up after all that news in the pre-market trading. Condemnations have poured in across the political spectrum, but some high-profile names in the business community formally backed Trump following the shooting. I am going to formally endorse at the real Donald Trump. Pershing Square's Bill Ackman declared on Twitter, adding that the full details will be forthcoming. Last time America had a candidate this tough was Theodore Roosevelt, said Elon Musk on X, and I fully endorse President Trump and hope for his rapid recovery. So there's a lot of shockwaves have happened in the market following this most recent event that took place in the U.S. over the weekend. So we'll see how this transpires and how it moves into the equity market. So far, it is getting a bullish note, right? Futures are up here pre-market. We can see the screens here. They gapped up initially fairly aggressively from about like 65ish up into about 80. So a 15-point gap before pulling down and still sustaining that area and continuing that upside momentum move. So last week we were looking at big tech names that were kind of struggling, especially to end the week, Thursday, Friday. But we've seen that they're gapping up with equity markets catching a bid based on some of this news. Now, Google's in the news as well, right? Google parent company Alphabet, right? It's down here a little pre-market, is reportedly in advanced discussions to acquire cybersecurity startup Wiz for roughly $23 billion. If completed, the deal would be the tech giant's biggest acquisition ever and help boost its efforts in cloud computing, an important and growing business where it has been lagging behind its peers, right? But it's not lagging in AI like Apple, who's just been pressing into all-time highs. Any transaction would come at a time when antitrust authorities are scrutinizing the market power of Alphabet, as well as other technology companies. Wiz's investors include Insight Partners, Blackstone, Sequoia, Salesforce Ventures, and Lightspeed. So as we start the week off, right, a lot of equity markets, like look at Apple gapping into new all-time highs. These equity markets are pushing on the bid, right? Big tech companies, a lot of them are rallying. Apple is about to open at new all-time highs. Tesla is on the bid again. We just saw Nvidia trying to catch a bid. The only one, Google, is kind of pulling down a little after this acquisition news. We have Amazon that's pulling down a bit as well. So in terms of some of the other news, right, the economy is on the radar as top Chinese policymakers gather for a meeting known as the Third Plenum. The assembly typically focuses on long-term issues facing the country and have resulted in sweeping reforms in the past. Hurt by a property downturn, weak domestic demand, and the falling yuan, and trade frictions with the West, China's gross domestic product expanded 4.7% in April to June period, according to the official data. That represents a slowdown from the 5.3% growth report in Q1 and also missed the economists' expectations. I've also seen some banks on the downturn from China. I don't know how factual that news is, but we've seen one of the decent sized banks actually imploding. I think it was like last week in China. So economically, they're in a kind of brittle position along with a lot of the other large economies. Now, another thing to take into note is the earnings season has officially, well, I guess unofficially kicked off last week. We saw big banks reporting. We have Goldman Sachs that reported pre-market today with very little change in the stock's price. We also have this week Netflix, which seemingly is the first of the big tech companies that's going to report, kind of falling off the radar. Netflix, out of those, remember the Magnificent Seven, if you will. So that's the first of big tech that's going to report. That could give us a very good understanding of subscription rates, ad revenue with their most recent new subscription with ads in it. So that could start things off for big tech companies with the earnings period and the earnings news, right? So we'll see how Netflix reports. It's Thursday after the bell. And then the week after, there's most likely going to be larger tech companies that are going to report. Big tech from the Magnificent Seven start reporting the last week of July into the early August time period. So we'll see how that shapes up. It's going to be an interesting move in these equities, and it's going to give us the next potential move in the overall markets. Now, if we take a look at the U.S. equities here, mainly the S&P 500 futures, we've seen quite a week last week, from a rally into all-time highs after a trend day to a complete breakdown on Thursday, and then a kind of a mix of the two on Friday to wrap up the week. We're still holding bullish price action. There was a massive imbalance that sat at 56.65 to 68 from last Friday and the day before. So it's going to be an intermediate pivot that we're going to be watching that's creating the bottom band of this distribution. Now, into that low 90, right, we're sandwiched between those two areas in a larger distribution. So if we are going to see any kind of downside sell press this week or to start this week, to kind of commemorate what happened last week in the markets on Friday with an end of day drop, we're most likely going to try to make a lower high into this 56.93 to 96 area and try to push a little lower under these low 80s. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the lower high and everything's going to just combust and break down aggressively, But what I'm saying is, if the sellers are going to really stand a chance, it's going to happen at some point at the start of this week. They would want to kind of take the energy that they had from Friday's close and continue that momentum to the downside. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. I have to be very, very cautious because above that mid 60, above the mid 56 60s, it's still bullish, right? It's still bullish. We're above, we broke above the distribution top at 56.45, still bullish. A lot of things are holding out to the bull side, but I'm going to be very cautious not to try to buy every single dip unless there's some kind of buy pressure. Under 56.65 area, I can see that the sell side is most likely going to want to take over, so I'm going to lean on that. But as it is Monday, slow and steady, right? We want to see how the information presents itself at key levels to give us an understanding and guiding towards some kind of market movement and potential trend activity on the day in itself. So with that, right, I'm going to open up our live trading room right now. I'll see you guys in there. We'll chat very, very soon, and we'll do this again tomorrow. Remember to check out community.tradeproacademy.com for access to our free Discord. So thank you guys, take care, and we'll chat